Welcome into another exciting live edition of Locked On 76ers. He's Keith Pompey. I'm Marc Farzetta. Sixers take it on the chin against the New York Knicks in Abu Dhabi to open up preseason play. We'll tell you why this game was so unbelievably ugly, but yet with one bright spot. All that and more of this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Once again, Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. Keith, there was a little excitement in the air before this game. I saw Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe. We're going to be starters in this game with Dembona starting at the center position for the 76ers. And I thought, all right, let's get a look at this backcourt. Let's get a look at Dembona as the starting center going up against the New York Knicks. This was exciting. And then the game started. That was not exciting. That was not exactly great basketball that we watched today. But let's start off with this. Let's just start off with Maxey and Edgecombe. At all surprised that these were the first two to go, or because Grimes is signed but not with the team? Also, Jared McCain is injured. Did you expect VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey to be your starting backcourt?
Yeah, I don't think you have anything else like right now because, like you said, Quentin Grimes, right? Quentin Grimes, props to the Sixers for finally, the wait is over. I mean, The deadline's over, so props to that, I guess. You give them props, but we'll talk about that later. But, yeah, I mean, who else are you going to go out there? Like, are you going to say, okay, Kyle, we want you to go out there. Okay, Eric Gordon. So VJ Edgecombe was the next man up. And I think you had to go that way, especially with Jared McCain not even being on the trip with the injury.
Yeah, the chemistry-wise, him and Maxey, it was clear that they wanted VJ Edgecombe at times to bring the ball up, but mostly Tyrese Maxey was in control. I was really looking to see Tyrese Maxey, if he had worked at anything in the offseason in terms of that court vision. He had some decent plays in this game. There was a nice, I think it was to Dominic Barlow, a nice little give and go to the basket there that finished with a Barlow slam. Maxey was doing that, did that in this game. VJ Edgecombe had a good rebound and push, and that was the alley-oop to Dembona that Bona finished off there. Overall, what did you make of the chemistry in game one of the preseason?
You know what? I didn't really have too many problems. Now I know there are certain people who are critical of it, right? And talking about the shooting, and yes, the shooting was horrible. But the way I looked at it, I looked at the chemistry of Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. We all know that we all know that at this particular time, they are not going to be the top backcourt in the league. They may never be the top backcourt in the league. But when I saw them getting out there running early on, I'm like, I like what I see. You know what I mean? I like what I see. I love the athleticism. We saw, Edgecombe getting a couple assists, even on certain on made baskets by the other team. You see how Edgecombe gets up there and goes after the ball. So to me, I'm looking at it like, in a couple years, this could be a solid backcourt. Once Edgecombe gets everything together, right? It could be an extremely solid backcourt. So I really, like what I saw. Now, again, is he ready right now? Probably not. But at the same time, we're talking about, dude, they did go up against Brunson, an all-star, all-NBA guard, and Mikal Bridges, a guy who everyone in Philadelphia are still pissed off that the 76ers traded him. I mean, that's a legit backcourt that they went up against.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say this. I never saw a point where either looked uncomfortable, and especially talking about VJ Edgecombe. He never looked uncomfortable to me. We knew he needed to work on his shooting. He finished up with 14 points on the day or in the game. I don't even know what time it is in Abu Dhabi right now, but he finished up with 14 points in this one, as did Tyrese Maxey. But you alluded to the shooting. Not great. And I'll flip up the box score right here for the fine people, all right? Maxey 0 for 4. Kelly Oubre 1 for 4. VJ Edgecombe, he hit a 3. He was 1 for 6. As a team, you got 1 3 off the bench by Kennedy Chandler, and then that was it. You were literally shooting as a team 8.6 Keith. There was one of those stats I had to look at and go, no way, hold on, no. Hold on, what is that? Shake my computer. 8.6 from three. Now, the Knicks shot 20% from three, which still isn't great, but it's certainly better than 8.6, Keith.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was kind of like, I think they left their shooting on the plane. But
right.
the worst, but yeah, you can't say it because you remember last year they were horrid shooting the ball too. Now again, it's something like they had a lot of guys like Quentin Grimes wasn't there, Jared McCain wasn't there. We're talking about two of their better 3-point shooters. You know what I mean? PG didn't play, Joel Embiid didn't play. So while this was horrible, a lot of these guys who were taking shots, they're not going to be in the rotation. You know what I mean? They're not in the rotation. The one that really, if I'm alarmed by something, it was the play of Justin Edwards. I mean, I believe Justin was like, Justin, I just want to make sure I get this right. Like, Justin was 0 for 8 from the field. He was 0 for 7 on threes, right? He did have 4 rebounds. He had 3 personal fouls, and he was a game worse, minus 21 in 16 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was it looked like a little bit of summer league Justin Edwards. You know what I mean? So to me, that was
the same thought.
Yeah, that was a problem, and Kelly Oubre didn't look particularly well at all either. Like, he played with some energy, and he looked like at certain times he looked a little upset or disappointed. He said you could. Like, at one time, Maxey even asked him, like, such and such. He said, oh, okay. But he looked bad. He was 2 for 8 from the field. He was a minus 12. But you know who else didn't look really well, didn't play really well as far on the defensive end was Jabari Walker. He was a minus 18 in 20 minutes. So, these are guys that the 76ers are going to have to depend on, as role players. And I know it's a preseason game, but the hope is that all 3 of them can improve on their performances, going forward. Now, on the defensive end, Oubre was solid. He had, 1 steal, he had 2 blocks. He finished with 3 assists. But, Kelly Oubre is a guy that you think that they're going to have to depend on. He has to shoot the ball better than 2 for 8.
Yeah, Adem Bona, for me, that's a big deal just seeing him start. Andre Drummond was held. Andre Drummond played in this game, but they got Bona off. They had Bona as a starter. There were 2 plays in particular that I was waiting for him to rip the rebound down, and the ball ended up bouncing around. Little soft hands there from Adem Bona would be nice, but you didn't have it in this situation. And I believed it was turned into one was an end one, I believe, for 3, and then another was a layup and a missed free throw in foul situations there with Adem Bona, where you want to see him corral that rebound, take it with authority, and all that stuff. And there were at least 2 situations in this game today where that wasn't the case for Bona, but. To go back to Justin Edwards, yes, you and I were texting during the game. Not impressed. To go back to what you would say, feel like you're watching the Summer League. In the Summer League, we were critical, but we also gave him the benefit of the doubt. We're like, you know what? He's an NBA player. He's trying to play with guys that aren't NBA players. And then we see him play today. And as you mentioned, 0 for 8 from the floor, 0 for 7 from beyond the arc, minus 22 overall on the game. That he just and look, I was paying close attention to the looks he was getting. These are good looks. These are good drive and kickouts. These are open looks, corner threes that he's shooting, and he is not knocking these down. That is a concern when you're talking about a guy that last year was leaps and bounds better than when he debuted with the Sixers in his first game with the Sixers last year. By the time the season ended, and I haven't seen any glimmer of hope from him through Summer League. And through right now, just the first preseason game, but albeit through Summer League in this one game, where he looked like he is ready to take any step forward from where he left off last year. If not, it looks like he's taking a step back.
Yeah. I mean, he has to get more. But again, it's weird. Like, the crazy part is these are the type of games where you expect him to step up in, right? Mm-hmm. But it just seems like when he's on the floor with Embiid or Paul George and guys like that, you don't expect a lot from him, so he blends in better. But then when you need him to produce, those are the games that he really struggles at. The one thing I will say about Adem Bona, yes, A couple of those rebounds he should have had, but I felt like he played much better than Drummond, right?
I agree.
felt
Yes,
like
I agree.
And if we look at it like, okay, these are the games that, you got 4 preseason games, and they're going to determine who's the backup center. Well, right now he has the edge, right? Because the thing is, when you look at him early on, when they were getting out and running and doing certain things, he was the biggest beneficiary with 2 lobs for dunks, right?
Mm-hmm.
To score early on. And then I think he got fouled on the third one when they tried to go there. And we're talking about it. It was kind of sort of like, like when they played against the Milwaukee Bucks and they had Giannis and Lopez, Brook Lopez. Well, they were going up against, Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns. And he was able to still use his athleticism, something that, at 6'8", he shouldn't be able to do, you think, on paper, when you're going up against 2 7-footers, right? So, but at the same time, he did that. So when you look at it and you're saying to yourself, if Drummond can't, defend, if he can't do a lot of different things, when Embiid is not out there, it looks like you're going to be better suited going with Bona right now as a change of pace and allowing Maxey and the other guards to get out there and run, and you got a lob threat and Bona.
One thing I want to ask you about that, were you surprised at all that Bona got the nod as a starter over Drummond today?
Initially I was like, oh, initially I was like a little surprised, right?
Little eyebrow raise.
A little, yeah. But then when you saw how it started, then you're like, okay, they want to get out and run, and they feel like he's better suited. You know what I mean? That to me, that's what it was. But yeah, initially I was, because you look at it and you say to yourself, okay, Drummond, 2-time All-Star. He's 6'11". They got 2 7-footers on the floor. It's kind of like, okay, you're going to try to take Cat and Robinson out of the game. But nah, they went with the young guy and told him to get out there and run up and down the court. So yeah, that was a good coaching decision by Nick Nurse. But yeah, my eyebrows raised a little bit.
All right, fair enough. All right, when we come back, certainly wasn't something that we learned today, but it was nice to have the reminder. And I don't know if it was about the work he was putting in the offseason between the Summer League and now, but you definitely saw something from the Sixers rookie. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers, the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. And right now, I want to tell you about Peloton. These guys in great shape, running around the court and all that stuff. Well, how about you get into great shape with Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights for you, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen, oh my goodness gracious, it's a real game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat, and the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and your energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. That's ONE Peloton.com. onepeloton.com. I certainly didn't need to I didn't learn this today, Keith. I don't think anybody learned this today. But just watching VJ Edgecombe today, and look, I'm not ignoring the shooting. I'm not ignoring any of that. And I love the fact that he got the chance to start and all that. But this kid, man, he is, and I don't throw this word around, he is a freak athlete. There are a couple of different instances where, like, he was driving the lane, and I thought when he went up, he was going to hit his head on the roof of the building. Like, he just kept going. There was the one instance where he ended up going to the line on the foul, and I forget who it was that fouled him, but he went up, and it looked like a foul on his hip, like not his arm. Like, that's just how high he went up. The athleticism is just off the charts with this dude, and not finding a way to harness it, but just become about, like, keeping that athleticism, that explosiveness. I mentioned earlier his ability to run the floor after a rebound and then get the alley-oop to a Dembona. That was just a thing of beauty. And seeing him with those quick ankles, man, seeing him with those quick moves, it just makes you think about what the Sixers can do as he continues to improve. And the other part of it is that he will, because I say this in every sport with every athlete. I never bet against anybody that has at least a smidgen of talent and a phenomenal work ethic, because they're going to maximize their ability. I have that same type of feeling watching VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. And that's why, a lot of people were, criticizing, being critical of the way the team was shooting. And you can argue that, he may not be there right now, but I'm here to tell you, man, I think that backcourt is going to be really good in several years. You know what I mean? Him and Maxey, like knock on wood that everything goes well, because he's super athletic. And the crazy thing about it is that, yes, he does have some weaknesses, but I do believe that with him on the floor, with Embiid and Paul George, and even if, let's say, Quentin Grimes was there or Jared McCain, all those guys' ability to score and ability to shoot is one of those things that's going to open things up for him. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to have to take tough shots. Like, everything is going to be open lanes to the basket, right? And he's just going to go in there and get a couple dunks. And he's going to be fun to watch, man. And he's working hard. He worked hard in the offseason, summertime, the whole nine. Again, he's not there yet, but I'm telling you, the way that him and Maxey get out there and go and run, it was impressive to me. Now, again, this is the preseason. We know that typically for the preseason games, teams tend to have shoot-around in the morning, but those shoot-arounds are like practices. So it's kind of like a two-a-day, right? But at the same time, you know what? He's a rookie, and he's showing potential, and I like what I see.
One of the other things that jumps out to me about his performance today, for a guy that was handling the ball a bit there, 31 minutes played, 6 rebounds he was able to get for the Sixers, which essentially equates to 6 pushes. And then he also had just one turnover in 31 minutes played. He did share time with Tyrese Maxey, and then Maxey sat out, and then VJ Edgecombe was running things for a little bit there. Who else did they have out there? I think it was Salas, I think, running it as well?
Yep.
But VJ certainly had his opportunities, but when he had his opportunities, he wasn't turning the basketball over. I thought he was being smart, and he didn't force anything. He didn't push anything in terms of forcing anything. When he brought the ball up, if there was somebody else to dish to at the top of the key, he did that. There was one great drive and kick out he had to who was it? It was one of the only threes that they had. It might have been Kennedy Chandler, as a matter of fact. A great corner three that he drove and kicked it out to through 2 defenders. And I thought that was just showing some great court vision by him for the potential that could be there down the line. The other thing, again, yes, preseason, no one's getting carried away. This is all under the umbrella that we understand it's preseason. When we talk about 8.6% from beyond the arc, we are also saying that, yes, it is preseason. We are understanding that this is just everyone getting their legs back, everyone understanding how to play with one another again. So when we talk about the good and the bad, yes, we take it under the umbrella that it is preseason. Anybody else? Jedi Broom, Jabari Walker, Eric Gordon played 13 minutes tonight. Anybody else jump out to you?
I mean, the guy who really, really jumped out to me was Dominic Barlow. Like, he's been a guy, like, when we look at him, he finished with a team high 10 rebounds. You know what I mean? Like, when we talk about the head, a little shocked at the fact that Bona got denied. But to me, it was Barlow too, because you look at it, Jabari Walker coming in, like I said that I thought that, he was the leading candidate, so to speak, to get that two-way conversion, right, to a standard deal. But then you look at Barlow and you see how he's playing. You see him playing hard. You see him grabbing rebounds. It's one of those things that Nick Nurse, a couple of days ago at practice, he was like, hey, look, Dominique Barlow was standing out early on here, like talking about, at training camp. He's just really on the glass and making some shots and playing extremely hard. He was just involved in a lot of that stuff. And that's how it was, today against the Knicks. I mean, he plays hard. He's 6'9", he's 221 pounds. And the thing is, it's crazy because you would think that, and this isn't a knock to the wing players that they had, right? But when Maxey and VJ Edgecombe are out there doing one-on-one scrimmage drills, you would think that they would have another wing player. No. They got Barlow out there doing it with them. And, he's not like, I'm not saying he's killing them, but he's holding his own against them, right? So, he's out there and you can't say like, okay, this guy looks like a power forward. No, he looks like a wing when he's out there with them. So he's more athletic than we give him credit for being. And to me, he had a pretty good game to me today, out there. So he really impressed me.
Yeah, one of 3 Sixers. And granted, the Sixers had a big run there in the fourth quarter when, I hate to say as a preseason game in the fourth quarter when it wasn't a game anymore, but still one of 3 Sixers to finish in the plus of the plus minus, actually a team high with +9 on the evening. But you mentioned the 10 rebounds, 9 of them on the defensive side of things, also came up with 2 assists and a steal. So yeah, definitely worth mentioning him and what you're able to see from him. Before we move on and unfortunately talk about the watch being over, well, I guess fortunately the watch being over, I want to get a couple of comments as we're live. Chai on one, I think it is. VJ isn't ready yet for a starting job. I think we all agree on that. All the more reason we should have signed Grimes for a few more years. He's a ready bucket. We played ourselves. I'll say that we'll unpack the Grimes stuff in a second. But Keith, I think we're on the same page here that VJ is not ready for that starting job now, but it could be just around the corner, like later this season. Yeah.
It could be that way. I mean, and that's what you hope, right? I mean, you honestly hope that VJ can continue to elevate, continue to work on his game towards like at one stage of the season, he's like, hey, I'm ready to go out there and play. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what you hope. That's what you hope. Yeah.
DK was saying, man, NBA TV wouldn't let me watch the freaking game. What? Couldn't get the game on NBA TV? Sorry to hear that, brother. By the way, were you working? Could you hear the game?
Nah, I couldn't hear it. But it was funny.
You didn't miss anything.
It was that bad. Okay.
I mean, here's my theory. I don't know this. I don't think they had a crew there.
Oh,
I think
that makes sense.
I think there was a TV. I think 2 people were watching the game on TV, and the first thing that jumped out at me was I think they called Barlow Oubre 1 or 2 times. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I realized, they're probably not there. They're probably, because sometimes they'll have play-by-play. Like I know the NFL did this with like games in Europe a while back where they would just have 2 people in America, like in New York or something, having the game on a big screen TV in front of them. And they'd just be sitting there in front of the TV doing the play-by-play and color analysis of the game. So I'm not certain on it, but my gut feeling is that's the way they did this game today.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably what happened because they do that. They do that. Yeah.
And I will say this also: did the NBA not sell this game? Because every commercial break was more promotions for NBA basketball than it was. Like they were showing highlights of like buzzer-beating moments, Knicks. I don't remember really anything with the Sixers that they showed today. Pacers in the finals. Like every break was a promo for the league. And I'm like, did they not sell this? You go to Abu Dhabi, you don't even sell it? What are we doing? And I was like, all right, whatever. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be mad at shorter commercials. And then one more here. Andrew, said the same thing. VJ can take a little time. I'm not going to overreact to a preseason game. However, Justin Edwards' performance concerned me. We're all concerned. And Mr. Raymond's also says the commentators were trash. Yeah, not great. I will say this also. I'm not going to blame them as much. They're trying to do their job. The NBA,
they were in the caucus.
They were in Abu Dhabi, Secaucus. There's a different Abu Dhabi. It's in Jersey. Nobody knows that? Anyway.
Oh, really? No, you're joking.
No,
all right. I'm like, really? Hey.
You never been to Detroit it's right next to Elizabeth. It's the next stop.
Or maybe they were having too much fun in Abu Dhabi if they were.
Maybe.
That's crazy though. That's crazy.
All right. When we come back, the moment you've all been waiting for, Grimes' watch is over. The watch is over. As they would say on the show Game of Thrones, his watch is ended. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. And right now, let me tell you about FanDuel. How fantastic is FanDuel? You guys could be having a lot of fun, especially this football season with FanDuel. The NFL season is upon us. FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets when your bet wins. That's right. Pick a bet, put $5 down on it, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app on the FanDuel app. I love using FanDuel because it gives you so many different ways to play, so many different ways to get in on the action. You can build parlays, tiered player props, and how about this? Even follow live lines as the games unfold in front of your very eyes. It makes watching football even more exciting, and it's also a little bit more exciting when you have a little something on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So go to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today. And once again, your first $5 bet as a new customer can turn into $300 in bonus bets if your $5 bet wins. So what are you waiting for? Head to FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to get started and download the FanDuel app today at FanDuel.com. Keith, has Quentin Grimes signed yet?
Yeah, bro. But here's the thing, man. Like, I'm like saying to myself, hold up. We've been on Grime Watch every day. Now, I done pulled out old articles.
Yes,
like
you did.
Old articles. I done had books. I had a lot of stuff.
You became bilingual at certain times. Bilingual at certain times.
We know how bilingual. I did all that. For the dude at around 3-something to opt into his player option for $8.7 million. Now, I'm just saying, bro, free agency started, I believe it was June the 26th. I believe that's the date it was. It was
June the 26th.
Yeah, it was in June, right? Or might even been June. No, I'm taking it. It was June or whatever, the last day of June, June the 30th or whatever. So we've been doing Grimes Watch from the gate. Talking about, is this going to impact Yabusele? Are they going to get rid of Kelly Oubre? Andre Drummond that messed them all up by opting into his contract. Everything. Oh, he wants $25 million. Maybe he'll settle for 20. The team lied to him, people were saying. $8.7 million. Now, for that, bruh, you could have hopped on the plane, been on the beach with the fellas. You probably would have started. Now, I'm not going to blame him for that. I'm just joking with all that. But here's the real thing. We talked about this. What destroyed his chances of getting a deal, and I hate to say it, is the fact that he did not have an offer sheet from another team. So what happens is the Sixers had the entire leverage. They had everything. And the thing is, the way that it was going, you have to be fearful of, if you don't get the extension, and if it passes, then what if Daryl Morey came back and said, okay, well, if you don't take another offer to get rid of your no trade clause, like we'll give you an additional $1 million, we can offer you $5 million. We can offer you this. We can offer you that. And he would have lost all types of, like, not only that, he wouldn't have been paid. And that would have been like a slap in the face. So to me, it's a sad situation. the main thing is, how do you go about how do you go about repairing a relationship that typically when your agent is out there saying the Sixers were being not untruthful, but he basically said the Sixers were taking advantage of the situation, so how do you go about repairing a relationship like that? That's the question I have.
Time heals a lot of wounds, and maybe the Sixers will be in a better position at the end of this upcoming season, if they want to keep him for more money after that. But yeah, in terms of the what would you call it, the vote of confidence or the circle of trust or whatever at the end of the season, Sixers didn't do themselves any favor. That's for damn sure. Now, I will say this, my overall reaction to this is great. This is great. Sixers are already in cap hell. I didn't want to overpay for Quentin Grimes. This is great. And it doesn't mean that he can't go and sign him again next year. Now, again, the vibes might be hurt a little bit. Feelings might be hurt about just getting the minimum offer on that offer sheet of 8.7. And yeah, I know you could have saved us all a lot of time and aggravation by signing this deal months ago. But Quentin Grimes played this exactly right, and the Sixers played this exactly right. Both parties were right, but the Sixers won. They got the player that they wanted at the price they wanted him at. But as you said, Quentin Grimes didn't get that other offer, so he had no other leverage. Jared McCain did not impact it at all, as you pointed out the other day, because you're talking about a long-term thing here for the season with Jared McCain. It's not like they're losing him for the season. He's going to be out for a little bit. Then he'll be back. So, yeah, this really, if you're rooting for the Sixers, this was the best-case scenario for the team.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It was because, I think I wrote it up today. If they would have paid him the $25 million, I believe they would have been like 100. They would have had 169 million tied up in Quentin Grimes, Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey. And you look at it where we talking about a guy like VJ Edgecombe, a guy who you would want to gradually, blossom into that starting two guard now that you have him. So do you want to have all that money tied into Quentin Grimes? You know what I mean? And the problem is, you know what? If you overpay him, here's the deal. If you overpay him, then you got to figure out, okay, I paid him all this money this year. Well, am I going to be really able to trade him? You know what I mean? Who's going to take on that deal? Who can? You know what I mean? Now, it might be one or two teams, but also we talked about it before. Do you want your second apron clock to be ticking? And I get it. There are certain people that are upset and they're saying, yeah, but you could have had Yabusele. You could have done this. They said they were going to do a lot of things. Yeah, but they said that under the pretense that somebody else was going to give him a offer. He thought he was going to get an offer from someone else. And then secondly, a lot of the stuff I felt like is they were looking at him as a great addition if they didn't get that number 3 pick or they didn't keep the pick in the draft. If they didn't do that, then all of a sudden everyone would have been like, oh, well, guess what? Yeah, we didn't get a draft pick, but we got Quentin Grimes. That's just as good. Now that you have VJ Edgecombe, it's like, okay, well, we got Quentin Grimes. What do we do with him? So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You and I are on the same page, my friend. You and I are on the same page. For everyone watching right now, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On 76ers. Keith and I will be back with you guys tomorrow to go a little bit more in-depth on Grimes' watch. Also revisit some of the things that get said after the game today with the Sixers being able to play their first preseason game, but not being able to shoot, which was a problem. They lose 99-84 to the New York Knicks in Abu Dhabi. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow with another edition of Locked On 76ers. And before you exit, don't forget Locked On Fantasy Basketball. That's right. We thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. For your second listen, now go find Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd hosts the #1 fantasy basketball podcast, giving you daily tips and helping you win your league, all while making you a smarter NBA fan. Find Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For Keith Pompey, I'm Marc Farzetta. Be back with you guys tomorrow for another edition of Locked On 76ers. See you guys then.